Hello and welcome everyone to the second webinar of the 10th Africa Agri Expo 2026, co-located with the third edition of Future Food, Livestock and Poultry Expo. I'm Khushi and I will be the moderator for today's session. The future of agriculture is being built today through innovation, digital transformation, and smart technologies. So the theme of today's webinar is Technology as a Catalyst, Transforming Tanzania's Agriculture for the Future. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by an esteemed panel of experts from across agriculture sector. First, I'm pleased to be joined by Justin, CEO and Managing Director of TFA Tanzania. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you, Kush.
It's a
My
privilege.
pleasure being here.
Thank you, Justin. It's a pleasure to have with us Bakari, CEO of Tanzania Organic Agriculture Movement, TOAM. Welcome, Bakari.
Yeah, thank you very much, Push, for giving us this opportunity to share knowledge and experience.
Thank you for your kind words, Bakari. We are also delighted to be joined by Dr. Jeremiah, food expert, soil health, and climate specialist at AGRA. Welcome, Dr. Jeremiah.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Same here. We are really honored to have Dr. Aggrey, Executive Director of Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa, FARA, with us today. Welcome, Dr. Aggrey.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be part of this panel. Thank you.
And finally, I'm pleased to welcome Stephen, Investment Officer at Incofin. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you, Koshi. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead with the webinar. So, Dr. Jeremiah, my first question is for you. How can improving soil health through science and technology unlock higher agricultural productivity and long-term sustainability for African farmers, particularly in Tanzania?
Yeah, thank you so much for that very important question. And from where I sit, I really see soil health, soil particularly, to be the foundation and bedrock of everything that we do. Unless we get to a place where we are producing either food in laboratories or more views of hydroponics. But as it sits now, most of the food that we consume today, and each of us must, whether we like it or not, at some point we should be able to consume food for us to either whether we are living to eat or eating to live. At least food we must eat at some point. And most of this food is actually produced in soil. So I see soil to be the bedrock and the foundation of everything that we consume, what we produce, and whatever we utilize. And looking at across the African continent, particularly for Tanzania, soil therefore becomes very important and critical in terms of the food that we produce and the food that we ultimately consume. And therefore utilizing a wide range of methodologies to ensure that we have the best quality of soil that gives us the best nutrients, that becomes very useful for our continuous survival, particularly for the context of Tanzania. And I think most of our work in Tanzania has really interfaced to be able to address these kind of issues, particularly ensuring that we have a great mix of both the organics and inorganics, so as to ensure that we're able to produce the right kind of crops that has the best kind of nutrients. And therefore, as a result, consumers who consume this produce have the best nutritive value that they are gaining from these kind of products. But also a lot of work really around regenerative agriculture to ensure that our soil doesn't just produce the best for us just for now, but it's sustained. It's able to produce the best for us for a long duration of time. So I think from where I sit, really, my response to that would be that I see the soil as a bedrock, as a foundation of everything that we ultimately consume, and what we produce comes as a result of soil, and therefore it becomes critically important in the context of Tanzania and across the African continent to take a critical look and understanding of the soils.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jeremiah. You have really highlighted the critical link between soil health, productivity, and long-term agricultural sustainability. So thank you so much for your answer. Now, Bakari, coming to you as the CEO of Tanzania Organic Agricultural Movement, how do you see digital technology supporting the growth of organic farming while maintaining sustainability and environmental integrity? Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kush, once again for having this opportunity to to share my knowledge about the digital technology, which I can start by saying is very vital for the agricultural industry development, specifically organic agriculture. Why I say like this? First of all, we know the profile of our farmers in Tanzania, specifically the smallholder farmers, of which they are denied many opportunities. But these technologies can offer potential opportunities for them. First is about the information and the knowledge sharing, or improving access of knowledge and information to farmers, especially the smaller farmers. You can take, for example, now, most farmers and other stakeholders in the agricultural industry, they are using a diversified digital technologies for information sharing. It's like now we have met experts from different industries, from different specialties. We are able now to share our knowledge and experience because of this digital technology. So this is a very appropriate technology. So apart from the information access, but also market linkage or access to markets. Most people nowadays, they are marketing their products through the online marketing, which is the digital technology. People can exchange information through WhatsApp. They establish different platforms for different purposes, including marketing of the product or produce. That is another area of importance. But also networking. People do network using their digital platforms. As like we are here now, we are able to network, we are able to exchange information because of the digital technology. So many platforms have been established by using the digital platforms, of which without that, it could not be possible. We have the experience during the COVID-19 era. So most of our activity were done through the digital platforms. Virtual meetings were common and have been becoming very popular everywhere. Now and then people are using the virtual meetings to communicate what they need to communicate, of which was not the traditional practice. So it is really very important for networking. Apart from that, what I can say, apart from networking, we have an area that is really very critical in the agricultural industry, the area of technologies advancement and development, evolvement, etc. So people are learning various working on how they can improve the production in their farms in terms of livestock, in terms of crops. And sometimes they learn from a different context just because of having access to digital technologies. Because of their limited understanding scope, sometimes they fail because it is not appropriate technology in their specific context. So briefly, that is what I can say.
Thank you, Bakari. Those are some of the valuable insights on how technology can support agriculture. Thank you so much for your answer. Justin, I would like to know your perspective on how can Tanzania's agricultural sector leverage technology and digital platforms to strengthen market access and better connect smallholder farmers to regional and international value chain.
Oh, thank you, Coach, for taking up that, and thank you once again for having this opportunity to share knowledge and my perspective over 2 decades working with the small-scale farmers and working in Agri in Tanzania. And it's an interesting question. Looking at where I'm sitting, technology is actually posing up an opportunity, a great opportunity for small-scale farmers to leverage on the quality, leverage on the income, and deriving a lot of solutions from the challenges that are actually facing the small-scale farmers. I will center my contribution into the internet connectivity and the platform that is actually a technology perspective that I'll be interested in looking at. I know technology carry a lot of a wide range of discussion, and we might not be able to explore everything. So allow me to share a bit of information. Recently, before I joined this call, I was looking at the report from Tanzania Communication Regulatory Authority, the report that was actually released in March for the first quarter of 2026. And I was amazed with the number of information that was available there. I was looking at the number of connectivities in the when it comes to the telecom, the SIM card that was registered around 111.9 million number of lines that were registered. But interestingly, looking at internet connectivity, 3G connectivity was 93.4%. 4G was 94.3%. 5G was 32.8%. But interestingly, looking at the same data, I realized that there's number of smartphones that were registered were 29.8 million. I have no wonder that this information includes the small-scale farmers. So then the question is how usage is actually is to leverage to the opportunities that are coming all together with this internet connectivity and all this. And to start with, just being very frank, the platform that we are sitting today is just because of the connectivity. We are able to speak about the small-scale farmers because we can easily connect with TAB, Global, and the Agri Expo. So this is one of the opportunities. Looking at the trade show case of the solutions, that a number of innovations that are actually there at the village that a farmer can actually share. We can share information across the board. We can share information globally. We can draw lessons globally from India, from Kenya, from Europe, all over. There's a lot of information that are actually only possible to share using technology at the moment. Looking at the market, for instance, from where I'm sitting, you can be negotiating your price in Europe, in the Middle East. You can be talking to a farmer in Kenya and share products, quality, quantity, and even the price. So you see, all this comes with the technology. It wasn't possible a few years, 2 decades ago, I'm sure, talking about selling online was a challenge. But now a farmer would be putting an order for an input just using a Facebook or WhatsApp chat. You can even share the image. You see, make it easier to a farmer in the village. Look at the bag, look at the product. You can also display your products using the smartphones. So all this comes as an opportunity to a small-scale farmer. So it leverages quite a lot when it comes to the market access, when it comes to information. So for me, it's a huge opportunity. Nevertheless, it comes with a challenge. It is posing a quite great opportunity for policymakers, for research institutions, for all these other stakeholders to keep on studying more and see how better can we use technology to actually solve challenges that our farmers are facing at the moment. I think let me end up here and allow others to contribute as well. Thank you very much, Coach, for the opportunity and the rest of this.
Thank you so much, Justin. You really highlighted some of the important points for using technology and how we can help smallholder farmers. So thank you so much for your answer. Dr. Aggrey, my next question is for you. How can Tanzania better connect agricultural research, innovation, and extension system to ensure that technology is developed through research actually reach the farmers on the ground?
Yeah, thank you very much again for the opportunity. The question is very much aligned with the mission of my organization, which is a continental apex organization for research. And that primary mission is to ensure that investments in research generate high returns in terms of development impact. Development impact measured in form of food and nutritional security, incomes, and jobs. So how can we ensure that research translates into these kinds of outcomes and impacts? The key pathway for Tanzania and for other countries is to assure that research is relevant and that research results in terms of technologies, innovations, management practices are adopted by farmers at scale, and that this adoption delivers economic and environmental benefits. So that's what we would like to see. And so the question is, how do we, in the case of Tanzania, how do we realize this? And I will just break that down into two mutually reinforcing strategies. The first is around institutional arrangements. Having institutional arrangements that allow the agricultural innovation system stakeholders, comprising researchers, extension providers, the farmers themselves, various categories of agribusiness providers like input dealers, off-takers, even those who provide finance and others, plus policymakers, that all these stakeholders have a mechanism, an institutional mechanism to work together, to coordinate their work around individual or clusters of value chains. This model has been tested. There's a proof of concept on it, and it's being scaled up. And there are examples of how it works. So that is the first one. The second one is, and some panelists have talked about this, is to strengthen the effectiveness of extension. So in the first one, we have a whole ecosystem of actors, but a key actor with respect to research is extension, and strengthening the effectiveness of extension by looking at three major areas. Leveraging digital tools. This has been talked about, mobile phones, digital platforms, Earth observation, artificial intelligence, and others. The second strategy is to incentivize private sector to engage in extension. However, this must be regulated. We don't have enough public sector extension workers. Digital tools alone will not do it. The private sector is a major force that should be mobilized to support extension. And the benefits are mutual, because the private sector, like input dealers, as they're incentivized, they also derive some benefits. And the third area is to localize research, so that research is not only done in laboratories and at research stations, but it is localized into communities through farmer-led innovation hubs. So those are the two mutually reinforcing strategies that I would like to put on the table. Thank you.
Indeed, that was really insightful. Thank you so much for your answer. My next question is for you, Stephen. How do you see technology realistically transforming Tanzania's agriculture in the next 5 to 10 years, especially for smallholder farmers? Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Koshi. I think a lot has been said by my colleagues. And what I would like to start by saying is that I don't see technology as a ship that is going to replace farmers. but rather technology is going to eradicate some of the inefficiencies that keep smallholder farmers poor. So in Tanzania, as is common with other African markets, some of the challenges that smallholder farmers go through or encounter are low productivity, weak extension services, which Agri has mentioned, climate variability, and technology comes in to address these challenges. So one of the ways I see agriculture transforming or technology transforming the agricultural sector in Tanzania is one through precision agriculture. So precision agriculture is going to improve productivity. From my experience working with farmers in Tanzania, I see most of the yield, especially for maize, ranges between 2 to 3 metric tons per hectare. If you compare this with the global best practice, you see there's a huge difference because globally the yields for maize are between 8 to 12 metric tons per hectare. And so by using by leveraging on precision agriculture, farmers are able to tailor the application of, for example, fertilizer according to the requirements of the soil they are planting on. And so it's not just a blanket application. And so precision agriculture is going to play a huge role. The other area I see technology transforming Tanzanian agriculture is through digital financing. We know that a lot of banks are hesitant to lend to smallholder farmers because they lack collateral. But with digital financing, lenders are able to get historical data on production, on yield, on input purchases. And so with this data, these digital lenders can leverage on it to make financing decisions rather than just rely on collateral for lending. The other area I would like to talk about is on mechanization. I expect to see a lot of mechanization as a service models advancing in Tanzania, and this helps to reduce the costs of production because with mechanization as a service, a farmer doesn't need to own a tractor. They can use that as a service and till their land. So those are the 3 key areas I see. Some of the others have already been alluded by my colleagues, so I won't belabor on them. Yeah, but those 3 are key. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. You have really shared an interesting perspective on how technology is playing an important role, especially for smallholder farmers. So thank you so much. Justin, coming back to you, how can technology help to address coordination challenges amongst farmer and buyers within agricultural value chain?
Thank you, Kush, again for this opportunity and that great question. And to me, as I said, technology is coming as an opportunity rather than an obstacle to farmers, and especially small-scale farmers. It had actually opened quite a lot to farmers at the moment. As my colleagues had mentioned, and I don't want to repeat it, in access to finance, in access to all this. But I will highlight a few more opportunities. Something has been said on extension services. For us, talking about our small-scale farmers, talking about the yield per hectare, the yield per acre, it is the quality of the service that a farmer is able to access. Quality of the information that a farmer is actually able to access. Talking about the right seeds, is the information that a farmer actually can access? Where are the quality seeds available? How do I then use quality seeds, right input, to get the amount of the quantity that is worth it, making it commercial? So technology has come up with a number of solutions. Few that I know, I may not be able to name them here direct, but there are platforms that a farmer can access extension service, which supplements the challenge of the call and the ratio between one extension officer physically available in a local setup to the number of the farmers that an extension officer is actually able to extend. If you look at the numbers, they're just extremely shocking. Because, for instance, if one extension officer is for a whole village, for a crop, and a village has like a minimum, let's say, 5,000 farmers, how would you access them in a season and be able to address their challenges? But through technology, in a WhatsApp group, you're able to share to 10,000, 4,000, 100 farmers and information once all this. We have seen solutions that works for farmers checking on input and pest control challenges. A farmer is now at the village able to take up an image, share the image with the extension officer, and the extension officer is actually able to share a video call or a voice that express to the farmer back to the rural, like what it is and what should be applied, which quantity should be applied, and all this. This is about the farmer. Looking at the buyer and the aggregator, for instance, the AMCOs, the agricultural market cooperatives in Tanzania, they're quite to leverage quite a lot on accessing where are the members actually are and how much are they producing, which quantities. So instead of going all round and trying to check what quantity of maize that is available in a given geographical area, you're able to access this information quickly in a minute with a click of a button in your gadget. And then you are able to plan logistically better than it was before. So it's quite giving us an opportunity to excel and grow agri. And as we know, the population keeps on growing, and it comes with a challenge on food and feeding and all this. But more or less, looking at the across the border as well, a buyer is able to access, for instance, information on the pest control that was applied to a particular crop before harvest, plan ahead on the logistics, plan ahead on the prices, and you can even pre-finance the farmer. So it all comes with all these opportunities. So as I said before, my take is all about how do we use it? What is it there for the research institute? And my colleague Aggrey put it very well, that for adaptation and for scaling it up. That's the only role I think we have to work on now, and much explore the available potential without haste. So thank you very much. Let me end up here.
Thank you, Justin. Those are some of the most important points when it comes to improving efficiency and coordination across agricultural value chains. Thank you so much for your answer. My next question is for Dr. Jeremiah. Dr. Jeremiah, with increasing climate variability, what technology-driven solutions are most effective in helping farmers to adapt while maintaining soil fertility and ecosystem balance? Over to you.
Yeah, thanks for that question. And it's an interesting one because you look at this paradox, and we have moments in our life where we either want to increase weight or lose weight. And there are many things that happens when you want to do that. But there are some things that hinder you. For example, you are attempting to lose weight, but you are consistently eating a lot more calories, or either you want to sleep much earlier, but consistently you are late night, you are still watching either videos on Instagram or TikTok, or trying to follow up news that's happening around the world, or watching World Cup. That hinders your progress. And I think climate variability is that one thing that happens to be that we really trying to push increasing productivity across the African continent, and particularly in Tanzania, but consistently climate variability is hindering us from making that particular progress. And I think there are a number of tools and technologies, and I'm happy that Justin, Stephen, Bakari, and also largely Dr. Aggrey has tried to address some of these aspects in terms of what can be done in terms of ensuring the last mile person, particularly the farmer, has tools that can be able to bridge them and enable them to be able to really address the climate variability issues. Top of my head, I think in terms of what really can be done in terms of practical steps, I think it's first by anticipating and knowing that this is going to happen. Yeah, for instance, you want to sleep more and sleep better, but you are competing with the World Cup matches that are happening late night. Then perhaps what you need to do is try maybe to sleep much earlier, or try to be able to ensure that you're able to sleep during the day or something like that. So in terms of at addressing the climate crisis, what can be done is having early warning systems by noticing and realizing perhaps these are the climate crises that we anticipate. We hear now, for instance, there's an upcoming El Nino and things like that. By first anticipating these particular crises and making the necessary adjustments in a good time. So through whether it's early warning systems and air advisories that can really guide you to be able to make decisions in a good time. The other things that perhaps that Tanzania can be able to do, and many other countries are already doing it, is ensuring that we're able to adopt better soil management practices and water management practices, because water is a very critical resource in the African continent, particularly for Tanzania, and therefore utilizing the best technologies in terms of how we utilize our water. So that water is not taken to waste, but we make good use of every particular inch of water that we get for increased productivity in the region. But the other thing that can be done is ensuring that we have the best kind of varieties. And I think when you use the analogy of a person who's trying to gain weight or lose weight, there are people who their original gene, whatever thing that you want to do, whatever measures you try to introduce, your entire genetic makeup resists any of these particular kind of changes. So I think getting the best kind of seed varieties that are really drought tolerant, or those that are resilient to the climate situation in the respective region of Tanzania they are talking about, whether it's north in the south, east or west, to ensure that we have the best varieties that can be able to adapt to that particular crisis. Yeah, so I think there are a mix of measures that can be done, ranging all the way from getting the best advisories, having the best crop varieties, utilizing the best practices, whether it's soil conservation measures, ranging from whether it's mulching, whether it's cover cropping, that really enables farmers and particularly producers to be able to both adapt to the crisis, but also enable them to be able to produce more and be able to market more, and as a result have thriving ventures. So I think that would be my response to that question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jeremy. I must say that was a very well articulated and very interesting answer. So thank you for your answer. Moving on, Bakari, I want to hear your perspective on how can agricultural technologies be designed to ensure they remain affordable and accessible for small-scale farmers.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kush. And thank you all other speakers, because I can see now we don't have a very clear-cut submissions. Yeah, to some points we overlap, which is also very good. And what I can say, agricultural technology have a very a big history of its involvement in Tanzania, but even in other parts of Africa. And some of them have been successive and some of them not, because of the different factors as I'm going to share with you. The first one is the appropriate of the technology. And when I say appropriate, it should be a context specific. I know some of them, they may sit in different agroecological zones, but for the researchers, they can agree with me. Some of the technologies are only for the specific agroecological zone. We know that in Tanzania, we have a diversified agroecological zones. Now, not every technology can fit in every agroecology zone. So basically, we should focus more on the technology development that relies on the local available materials. For instance, composite making, it can be easily affordable and accessible to most of the smallholder farmers in Tanzania, rather than relying on the capital-intensive technologies, which can be a limiting factor to most of our farmers. So specificity is very important to have appropriate technology that can be easily adopted by our smallholder farmers. I remember we had some project that tried to facilitate the botanical extract. We worked very closely with the Sokoine University of Agriculture to come up with the technology that can ease the work of farmers to extract botanical as the one of the pesticides for controlling a pesticide in their farms. It was somehow very difficult at the beginning, but finally we came to realize that most of our farmers, they don't have the literacy level that can enable them to use it effectively. So it was a lesson to us, and we tried to see how we can have an option for that. Secondly, once you have the technology, you should have a proper dissemination model. And for me, through my experience, I think we should use the available dissemination structures. If you go in the rural community, you find the farmers, they have their own groups. We have the AMCOs, as someone mentioned, agricultural marketing cooperatives, etc., etc. So, but also we have the extension systems, though it is not enough, especially for the organic agriculture subsector, because most of the extension officers have been trained on conventional farming. So that is why it is really very important to ensure that we are using the existing strategy or structures to ensure that farmers are able to access the agricultural technologies. For instance, if we have a cooperative can buy a technology in the back and distribute to its members at a reasonable and affordable cost, rather than an individual farmer to buy himself or herself. So this is really very important. Yes, you have the technology and it is appropriate. Now, how are you going to destinate it? Are you going to make it more popular and adaptable to most of our farming communities? We really have to use the structure that are existing. But another thing that I want to share with you, you can have a technology. We talked about the digital technologies. But if it is not compatible, for instance, you need to let farmers know the market prices of different products. If the technology is not compatible with what the farmers they are using, or they are conversant, it cannot work. For instance, if you have the technology that is compatible with just the basic mobile phones, and in a user-friendly language, for instance, the Swahili language, which is common in everywhere, it cannot be easily adaptable. So it is really very important to ensure that what you are developing is compatible to the widely used technology such as the basic mobile phones. Because if you go in the rural areas, you find most of farmers, they're having these basic mobile phones, not necessarily the smartphones, which are very expensive. And sometimes they cannot use it properly because of the limited understanding, especially for farmers who are just mere standard 7, and even others didn't even go up to the standard 7. Another thing that I'm trying to see, just to increase the adoption of these technologies, I think public investment is very important. Yes. We are making subsidy for other agricultural technologies such as fertilizers, inorganic fertilizers, seeds. Why not for the organic bioinputs, organic technologies? This is really very important. So for the government, for the developing partners, and for the financial institutions, I think we need to look critically on how we can support the developed technology dissemination for wider adoption and use. Thank you very much. I'll submit.
Thank you, Bakari. You have really raised some important points around making innovation and both practical and accessible for smallholder farmers. So thank you so much for your answer. Dr. Aggrey, my next question is for you. What role does agricultural research and innovation play in unlocking investment opportunities and improving productivity across Africa? Over to you.
Yeah, thanks again, and I acknowledge the contributions from my my colleague panelists. Yeah, unlocking investments is a very important objective, because in Africa we always talk about the potential that our continent has, agricultural potential, but One of the reasons, key reason why we continually underperform, our agriculture underperforms, is underinvestment. We don't have enough investment. And so the question about how we can unlock investments and how we can deploy research to do that is very, very critical. There is a major reason why there is limited investment in agriculture, especially in Africa, is because of the uncertainty. It's considered a very high risk gamble. And so the way research contributes to unlocking investments is, one, increasing productivity, because the tools that research offers mainly are to increase productivity. But it's not only increasing productivity, it is also mitigating risks. And mitigating risks by providing tools such as climate smart agriculture practices that increase resilience, soil health. Jeremiah talked about that. Drought resistant varieties, early warning weather models have been talked about, pest management technologies, post-harvest management tools. All those tools and technologies that we have are products of research, and they enhance the predictability of what we get from an agriculture venture. And so the main contribution apart from productivity is to increase the predictability of investments. And we know that predictability is a major consideration when investment decisions are done, and uncertainty is a major factor in hampering investments. So that is on the production side. On the production side, research supports productivity and risk mitigation. And that's very well understood. A lot of attention on research is devoted to those objectives. The second objective, which is not given due attention, is related to trade. How research can support increased trade, or addressing the barriers to trade that are mainly traceable to compliance with food safety standards. We are currently, as a continent, losing billions in agriculture export revenue because of poor compliance with food safety standards. So research develops practices for reducing exposure to mycotoxins, and also developing biocontrols that reduce application of chemicals and attendant problems associated with residues in products. Presently, there is work towards establishing a food safety agency at continental level, and this is expected to strengthen the food safety capacities of countries, and support countries in strengthening their ability to enforce food safety compliance. And the objective, of course, is on health of populations, but crucially also on improving agricultural trade. So with that, we should treat agricultural research not just as a tool for boosting farm yields, but as our primary defense system for biosecurity and for trade. My last point is that whereas research is very useful in improving, in unlocking investments, research itself needs to be invested in, because the problem we have on the continent is the level of investment as a percentage of agricultural GDP is very, very small. Investment in research that needs to go up. And the justification for that is that as it goes up, it helps to unlock investments in agriculture broadly, including in research. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's my contribution.
Thank you, Dr. Aggrey. I must say that was a valuable perspective. Thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is for you, Stephen, our final question. How can Tanzania attract more investment into agri sector and agri-tech and agriculture in a way that directly benefits smallholder farmers and drives real on-growth transformations? Over to you.
Thank you, Kush. My colleague panelist Agri mentioned about predictability, and that's a very important point. As an investor, I can say that capital is not the biggest challenge facing agriculture in Tanzania, because there is a lot of global capital looking for attractive investment opportunities in Tanzania and in the entirety of Africa. So the challenge is finding scalable, bankable, and investment-grade ready opportunities. And so when you talk about predictability, one of the things that Tanzania needs to do is to create a stable regulatory environment, because I think Agri alluded to this, when there is predictability, that attracts more capital. And so we as investors are increasingly scanning the different markets we operate in. And if there are a lot of changes in the tax regime, out of export bans, then that increases the country risk, and not many investors want to go there. So I'll highlight like two tax issues in Tanzania that have been a hindrance for most investors. So last year, the government of Tanzania, through the Tanzania Revenue Authority, introduced a tax on undistributed dividends. So this means that as a company, as an agricultural company, it applies to all companies, but this is specific now to agriculture. If I make a profit of, let's say, 1 million Tanzania shillings, and I don't distribute that, a portion of that is going to be taxed. So, of course, that pushes businesses to distribute dividends. And when that happens, then that reduces the amount of working capital, the amount of cash flow, the business that is available for the business to use for growth and expansion. And so most investors will require the businesses they invest in not to distribute dividends. And so when there are such policy issues, then they hold back investors from deploying a lot of money in Tanzania. There's also the issue of debt registration number. So as a foreign investor, if I need to invest in Tanzania, then I have to register that facility with the Bank of Tanzania through the client's local bank, which takes a bit of time and effort. And when you see such tax handles in Tanzania, and then you compare to other markets like Kenya, where those things are not there yet. Then as an investor, you choose to invest in Kenya rather than Tanzania so that you avoid going through such regulatory issues. So that's one. The other thing is that Tanzania also needs to enhance branded finance mechanisms, because as it has already been said by my colleagues, most investors view agriculture as a risky business. And so they look at it with very cautious eyes. But when we combine, or when there's a combination of commercial capital, growth capital, grants, then that helps to increase the appetite of investors. So for example, with the company I work with called Incofin, we use a lot of branded finance mechanisms So one of them is combining commercial capital with grant-funded technical assistance. So that helps to lower the risk of the investments that we make, and also improve our appetite for investments. Other better finance instruments like having a fast loss guarantees for investors also helps to reduce risk, and that ultimately increases the amount of capital deployed in Tanzania. And lastly, data. I think transparency is a big issue for investors. So as an investor, if I don't have visibility of farmers' production records, then I'm not able to invest. So if Tanzania is able to incentivize farmers, support farmers to have more digital traceability of their production, then that will help to assist investors to make easier investment decisions. So thank you. Those are the three I want to highlight. Some of the others have been highlighted by my colleagues. Thank you.
You have really highlighted some of the key considerations. So thank you, Stephen, for your answer. And this brings us to the end of today's webinar. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all our esteemed speakers for taking out time to join us and sharing their valuable perspective and insights. Also, we look forward to welcoming you to the 10th edition of Africa Agri Expo and the 3rd edition of Future Food, Livestock and Poultry Expo, taking place on the 2nd and 3rd of September in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Thank you once again for participating. This is Khushi signing off. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.